ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Tuesday, February 20th. I'm your host, Paul Swann, for today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're going to get your text in this hour. We do that every day at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I'm also going to give you a chance on the text line this hour to win 4 tickets to go see the Herd take on JMU. That's coming up tomorrow. We've got the game for you right here starting at 6 o'clock. If you can't go, you can tune in here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll tip things off at 7 o'clock with the legendary voice of the Herd, Steve Cotton. But if you'd like to go, I've got your tickets. So be tuning in throughout the show. You know what? Let's just make it easy on you today. Let's just make it easy on you. Texter of the day wins. It's got to be good, though. You're the texter of the day. You're going to win tickets. You know the drill. 304-396-TALK. So we'll get that going here in the next couple of minutes as we've got basketball coming up this week. The Herd in action. Marshall taking on James Madison. As I mentioned, the women are at Texas State. That's going to be at 8 o'clock tomorrow. The Herd now 13-1 in Sun Belt play. And they'll be able to at least clinch a share of the crown with a win tomorrow. Thundering Herd right now looking really strong. If they can finish strong, Marshall can get that first ever Sun Belt Conference championship in women's basketball, and then maybe finish strong, get that tournament championship, and then go to the NCAA tournament. You win the Southern Conference tournament in 97, you go to the tournament for the first time. And you think, okay, maybe Marshall can get back. Marshall's got a good shot. Women's basketball's been pretty strong. Not the case. So it's been a long time coming. Hopefully the Herd can finish the story and get the win, go to the NCAA tournament. That's what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully we're talking about the women's basketball team for weeks to come. And, of course, we're hoping that the Thundering Herd can turn it around on the men's side. I know some of you took issue with some of the comments that Dan D'Antoni mentioned yesterday as far as he wants fans to show up, win, lose, be out there, don't be complaining, support the team, be a good fan. Be a good fan, support the team. I don't know how you took to that, but some vocal people I've talked to didn't feel like that Dan really had a grasp on the way it should be. You should always want to win. And fans, of course, want to see the team win. That's a given. Fans want to see the team win. But at the same time, kind of felt like, is he talking about me? Am I not a good fan? You know, what's a good fan? Remember when Mike Hamrick made allusions to, hey, look, you know, if you don't buy tickets and season tickets, I'm not concerned about you. The people I'm concerned about are the ones spending money buying tickets. You remember when he said that? I'm paraphrasing. I like Mike Hamrick. But that one rubbed the wrong way a lot of people. So we'll get your thoughts on Dan, what he had to say yesterday. We'll still talk about that. We'll hear a little bit more from Kim Caldwell as we're getting set for Marshall and Texas State tomorrow. We'll hear also from Wyatt Frick. We'll talk to him here in a few minutes. We'll get his thoughts on the upcoming game. Wyatt Frick's, we haven't heard from him in a while, so we'll get his thoughts on Marshall and JMU, how he felt his performance was this weekend, what's the Herd need to do to get it going. Got 4 games to go, then the tournament. Herd's trying to stay out of the bottom. You don't want to play on that first day. That's obvious. I'm not telling you anything. You don't want to play on that first day. You would like to have gotten into one of those top 4 spots. Then you wouldn't have to play on that second day. But instead, Marshall might be, I'm looking at 7 possibly. I mean, there's a chance that Marshall could fall out and have to play in that first day. There is a strong chance because Marshall's got 2 tough ones coming up in the Henderson Center. And we know, by the way, we do know now that the game on Saturday is going to be on ESPN 2. Not you, but 2. The Deuce. So the Herd and App State. Of course, App State is the real reason why ESPN selected that game. App State receiving votes, one of the top teams in the Sun Belt right now, has a really strong shot of winning the regular season crown. So there is nothing that says anything to me that makes me believe Marshall's the draw. Now, Dan wants to look good, and this is an opportunity for the Thundering Herd to look good on ESPN2 and maybe get an upset and have people talking about Marshall. But you got to beat JMU first, then you beat App State, then you go on the road. You win the next 4, I'm going to feel better about this team. You got to win the next 4. 3-1, I would be okay with. 2-2, I'm not sure. And Wyatt Fricks made a good point about this earlier in his presser. Just about the fact that you want to go into this game, both games, honestly, you want to go into these games and you want to show that you can beat these top teams. You don't want to just be that team that, yeah, we can beat the low-level teams. We can't beat the top teams, so we can beat everybody else. You don't want to be that team. Instead, you want to be the team that's one of the top teams. And to do that, you got to win these next two. So that's where Fricks was talking about how important these games were coming up on Wednesday and Saturday, that these next two, they really matter.
And then getting these 2 wins, it shows that you can compete with anyone in the conference. You're not losing to all the top seeds and beating all the bottom seeds. Everyone's beating everyone, so it sort of helps with that little bit of intimidation factor of you can't just go in expecting a win against us.
Hopefully that translates into the right attitude for the team coming up. Wednesday, we've got the game right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I've got a 4-pack of tickets. Our texter of the day, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So we'll dive deeper into the Marshall women's game and talk a little bit more about the men, obviously. There are a couple of things that are happening today I want to get into. The first one, it's a done deal now. College football playoff revised the qualifying criteria for the 12-team event. Originally, it was going to be 6-6. Top 6 champions, highest-ranked conference champions, top 6. So that actually opened the door when we had 5 so-called power conferences. That opened the door because you could have had a situation where maybe, just maybe, outside shot of it, but 2 of the conference champions coming from leagues like Conference USA, the American, the Mid-American Conference, the Mighty Mountain West, and, of course, the Sun Belt, you could have had 2 teams automatically qualify. If one league, and I'm looking at you, Pac-2, one league fell apart, which they played some of their best football this year. That was a pretty good league. It's a shame to see that go. But you could have had a weird year where champion coming out of one of those power groups wasn't ranked higher than, say, the champion out of Conference USA or American or Sun Belt. And so there might have been an opportunity with the 6-6 format. Now it's 5-7 because now you have 4 power leagues, really just 2 power leagues and 2 almost power leagues. The SEC, the Big Ten, then you have the ACC and the Big 12, not the big boys. They're like the second tier of the Power 4. And so now everybody gets a shot from the power conferences at this thing and one other team, since there are going to be 5 highest ranked champions get in this. Is this the right move, the 5-7? And of course, that means the other 7 are going to be the highest ranked teams, according to the CFP selection committee. So what do you think? Do you think this is more of a move to make sure that those in the upper echelon don't lose their spot, and then you have a bonus spot for one of those other conferences? You can get in. We'll give you one spot. You can have one spot. Make it count, Tulane. Make it count, Liberty. Make it count. Interesting coming out of the committee today. We'll get into that more. What's that mean for Marshall? What's Marshall's path to the college football playoff? Is it going to be dominating the Sun Belt Conference, winning the conference championship, and hoping that you have done enough to impress the voters or the committee and the ranking to get that one spot outside of those pretty much guaranteed Power 4 spots now? Is that what we're calling it, the Power 4, the Autonomy 4? Is that what we're going to with the naming on this? And, of course, Charlie Baker, president of the NCAA, speaking with ESPN in an exclusive interview. Nothing for those complaining about the transfer portal. Has nothing for you. We'll explain. And, of course, we're going to hear from you. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I'm your host, Paul Swann. This is The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Glockner's Too Easy initiative has returned for 2024. We're making it too easy to get more for your trade with our biggest cash offers. We pay more. Too easy to save time because Glockner has the fastest, most transparent 5-star shopping experience around. Too easy to find the vehicle perfect for you as Glockner has the area's biggest pre-owned inventory. That's why it's too easy to buy a car at Glockner.
We make it easy at Glockner.com.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, and baked lasagna. Giovanni's has the best sandwiches around, from the stromboli, Italian sub, calzones, and their signature Big Red. All dinners will be served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's Pizza, fresh, hot, and tasty. Have it delivered right to your door. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
The more vulnerable among us can fall victim to abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. When navigating your way out, it doesn't have to feel like a maze. Assistance is available from Adult Protective Services. To report neglect or abuse, call 800-352-6513. Sponsored by the Administration for Community Living, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources Bureau for Social Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This project was supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $383,493, with 75% funded by ACL HHS and 25% in the amount of $85,236 funded by state government sources. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
I can't wait to get to school. I brush my teeth and I comb my hair. I wave goodbye and I'm off to school. When I get there, I have breakfast with my friends. Then we have fun learning. I like my teacher too. She cares about me and makes me smile. You'll love school too.
Enroll your child in pre-K or kindergarten Friday, March 1st from 8:30 to 11:30 and 12:30 to 2:30 at all Cabell County Public Schools and approved community pre-K sites. Learn more at cabellschools.com.
Progressive presents Flo and Jamie announcing the Monster Truck Rally.
And here comes the Obliterator. Whoa! And he's up on 2 wheels. That can't be safe. Oh, I don't recommend flipping your car backwards. Did he even check his blind spot? And the car's on fire. I definitely don't recommend that. This is one of my recurring nightmares.
Progressive is all about keeping it safe, so bundle your home and auto for 24/7 protection. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Coverage not provided for monster trucks. Not available in all states.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Marshall Orthopedics, the Tri-State's leader for orthopedic care. MarshallHealth.org/orthopedics. Mount West Community and Technical College. Go far, close to home with Mount West Community and Technical College in Huntington. Online at mctc.edu. Lulu's, the Tri-State's premier smoke shop.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We continue on with today's edition of The Drive for this Tuesday, February 20th. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're going to hear from Kim Caldwell in just a bit. Marshall women getting ready for Texas State. First time these two teams have met. Can you believe that? We got this far into the season. Seriously, this is weird. They met last year, and Texas State won that one, 64-60. We've had to wait this long, just the way the schedule is. You got to wait a long time to face off against certain teams. And, of course, in the way this league is, just because it's a little far-flung, I still think you can make schedule adjustments so you can face some of those West teams a little bit more. But, yeah, I get it. I don't want to go to Texas State all the time. So the women are on the road. We'll hear from Kim Caldwell in just a few minutes. Also, we'll hear from Marshall's Wyatt Fricks on how he performed, how the team performed over the course of the last two games. Of course, looking ahead, you heard from him earlier about how important these two games are against some of the top competition in league with JMU and App State. The App State game Saturday is going to be on ESPN2. If you can't make it, or you don't have ESPN2, don't forget, you've got it right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and 93.7 The Dog. So we touched on earlier that the College Football Playoff Committee making some modifications. So the 12-team event, that's how they describe it in the press release. The 12-team event is going to now include the 5 highest-ranked conference champions plus the next 7 highest-ranked teams, and that'll be determined by the CFP Selection Committee. Mark Keenum, Dr. Mark Keenum, president of Mississippi State University, and he's the chairman of the CFP Board of Managers, said that this is a very logical adjustment for the college football playoff based on the evolution of our conference structure since the board first adopted this new format in September of 2022. He also said, I know this change will also be well received by student athletes, coaches, and fans. We'll all be pleased to see this new format come to life on the field this postseason. So the original plan, you were going to have the 6 highest-ranked conference champions plus the next 6 highest-ranked teams. There's a possibility in the old conference alignment, now with this new conference alignment, that possibility even greater, that you could have had 4 teams from the power leagues, and there might have been a situation where a couple of teams, say one from the American, and maybe, just maybe, committee members love Liberty for some reason. You could have had the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, maybe the ACC, and then you could have had Conference USA and the American. Those have been your 6, and then 6 other at-large teams. Now that kind of comes back to reality. It's pretty much going to be a guarantee. And even though, according to the way the release reads, there are no automatic qualifiers. So the Big Ten doesn't have a slot. The SEC doesn't have a slot. Nobody has an automatic slot. But you're going to have to win your conference championship. Highest ranked conference champions. So why are we having tournaments now? Why are we having championship games? I just give it to the... Now, of course, you're going to have the championship game. That's where your money comes from. You're making money off that. But you don't want a situation where Indiana gets lucky and beats Ohio State, and then Indiana all of a sudden is your conference champion, right? You don't want that situation. Now, here's how it begins. Under the format this fall, 4 highest-ranked conference champions going to be seeded 1 through 4. That's obvious. And each will receive a first-round bye, while teams seeded 5 through 12 will play each other in the first round on the home field of the higher-ranked team. 5 takes on 12, 6 gets 11, 7 takes on 10, 8, 9. Should be a fun matchup. The quarterfinals and the semifinals will be played in the New Year's 6 bowl games. The national championship game will continue to be at a neutral site. No limit on the number of participants from a conference. So if the Big Ten is, why not? There are 7 slots, maybe 4 of them go to the Big Ten, 5 of them. No limit. Give me the Big Ten Invitational. Give me the SEC Big Ten Invitational. No limit on this. You want to see some of the names that are on the CFP Board of Managers? From Conference USA, President Western Kentucky's on this thing. Tim Carboni. Gordon Gee is on this thing, representing the Big 12 Conference. Jack Hawkins, president of Troy, representing the Sun Belt Conference. Of course, Reverend John Jenkins, president of Notre Dame. You got to have somebody from the independent ranks on this thing. Some interesting names on this list. What would this thing look like if Brad Smith was representing the Sun Belt? Could you imagine what this thing would look like if you got Brad Smith alone in a room with some of these other names, this could have been 6-6. I don't know. I'd be curious to see how Brad would have navigated this room. Try to put something together that everyone can agree on at the same time. Make sure Marshall has a shot. I'm sure that Jack Hawkins, the president of Troy, did a fine job. I'm absolutely sure of that. But I would love to see what this thing would have looked like. Brad Smith was in the room, representing the Sun Belt. Could you imagine him saying, look, here's why it's going to be 6-6. I'll tell you why, and you're going to agree with me. Maybe I'm reaching, but I think he would have had a good shot at that. So 5-7 is the format now here for the tournament. And what's Marshall's path to this thing? Well, Marshall's path to this thing, same as always. Highest ranked conference champion. How do you become the highest ranked conference champion? Well, the obvious is win the conference championship. That's the obvious. You got to have that. But now, you want to be the highest ranked conference champion. We'll work backwards. The ultimate goal is to win the Sun Belt Conference Championship, because that gives you a shot at this thing. Work backwards. So you want to be the champion of the East, and you want to dominate the East. You don't want to have 2 or 3 losses. You want to dominate this thing. You don't want to leave any doubt. You want to be the undefeated East Division champ, going in, winning the Sun Belt Conference Championship. So we got to work our way back. Okay. Does any of that stuff matter, though? Absolutely not. Because Liberty, with a weak schedule, rolled through Conference USA and got an access game. And my next thing here is, well, don't you want to play a good quality non-conference schedule, get some good wins? Liberty didn't seem to need to do that. Liberty came in, just throttled everybody, subpar schedule, got invited because the other teams were playing quality opponents. There's got to be something. There's got to be a better criteria here. Because Marshall could go through the East, go through the whole Sun Belt, win this thing, play a quality non-conference schedule, maybe drop one, win the conference, and you look at how it went down last year, and there's Liberty. Conference USA got in. The league that Marshall left, Conference USA got in. Because that schedule was atrocious. The level of competition was atrocious, and yet the system got gamed, and here it is. So what's Marshall's path to this thing? Well, you got a shot. You get into this playoff, or maybe you don't win the conference championship, but you're ranked high enough. So yeah, that's going to be difficult. That's going to be absolutely difficult because you're going to get 7 teams that are going to be considered at large. Where are those 7 coming from? At best, Marshall's going to be, 25th, 23rd maybe? Just looking at history. Could you imagine Marshall being in the top 10? I mean, this isn't like the 1990s where Marshall finished in the top 10, but Marshall had to work its way up. This is where the selection committee comes in. And again, they're taking the top 7 after the championship rankings are out. We're going to rank the teams. Our top rankings, highest ranked conference champions, highest ranked. Not highest ranked, but highest ranked conference champions. So you could have a team ranked higher than another conference champion, and you take the first 5, and then you go back and take, okay, who's the highest ranked team in our selection that's not a conference champion? You go down. Somebody's getting left out, of course. Again, taking 7 at large, 5 get in, not automatic qualifiers, but 5th slot is going to go to one of those group of 5 conferences. Conference has the best shot at it right now. Liberty, Conference USA, can it duplicate what it did? What about the American? You think the American's got the juice? The Sun Belt, everyone beats each other up. And, James Madison would have had a good argument to get in this thing, but it wasn't eligible, so it had no ground to stand on. And now I don't know what that program's going to look like with the turnover there. I don't know what a lot of programs are going to look like. That's another thing that we haven't gotten into that we probably need to address closer to the start of the season. There's been turnover. The new thing here is to leave a head coaching job and become an assistant somewhere else at a higher paying job, probably. That hasn't happened at Marshall yet. You haven't had a head coach like some of these other schools decide, you know what, I think I'm going to leave being a head coach and go and be a tight ends coach somewhere or work as an offensive coordinator somewhere else. That's the new trend now. It's almost to the point where the so-called group of five is truly becoming the farm team for now Power 4 schools. And how does this play off? Does this help level this a little bit? I don't think so. I think if it was 6-6, it opened it up a little bit more. There was more of an opportunity. All of a sudden, you could say, okay, there's a chance that we could have a team from the American and Sun Belt make this thing. So there's an opportunity. Makes the leagues a little bit more attractive, a little bit more desirable. Like, hey, you got an opportunity here. You can do that. I mean, the one thing about college basketball, and of course you still have the haves and have-nots, but at least the thing about it, everyone's got a chance. If you can get into the tournament and you're good enough, you got a chance. You can get into the tournament, you can win. You can go on a run. That's the goal. Win your conference tournament, get into the NCAA tournament, let's see what happens. You have a chance. Not a realistic one. It usually comes down to a rare Cinderella and some well-established programs, but you have a chance. You can go and pitch that. So Dan D'Antoni can come out every year and say, look, my goal is to win the national championship. Well, he's got a direct path to that. He just has to get the team to it. And is Marshall close to winning the conference tournament and getting to the NCAA tournament? We'll find out what Wyatt Fricks has to say, and we'll hear from you as well. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Working Man Store in Huntington. Check out the biggest inventory of scrubs in West Virginia, featuring brands such as Healing Hands, Dickies, Cherokee, and Med Couture at the best price. Working Man Store has one of the largest selections of big and tall shirts, jackets, and jeans in the area. Working Man Store is the king of blue jeans with Levi's, Dickies, Carhartt, Lee, and Wranglers in sizes up to 72. And Working Man Store has the best selection of men's work boots and casual shoes anywhere at the best price. Working Man Store, open every day at 140 5th Avenue, Huntington.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. If you're a sports fan, we have what you want. From the biggest game in professional football, NBA, NCAA basketball, and the NHL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials we have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check us out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Now is the time to add on a new bathroom or remodel your old one with the latest up-to-date bathroom fixtures from Mutual Wholesalers, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Come in today to Mutual Wholesalers' beautiful showroom and see how your new bathroom will look. Check out Acre by Max. Have a new bathroom this year. Mutual Wholesalers, locally owned and operated, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Call 304-525-9118.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% and help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, Jeff Smith, 304-781-1234. In Milton, Eric Dodson, 304-390-4515. And in Wayne, Vicky Tabor, 304-272-5149.
You know, there's something about a truck you can count on and that SUV that's been on every family vacation for a decade. TikTok Tire and Uniroyal know your truck or family car is only as reliable as the tires underneath it. And that's why Uniroyal made the Laredo AT Tire and HT Tire to be the tires you trust. You know, like you trust your truck, your SUV, or TikTok Tire. Uniroyal Laredo AT and Laredo HT. See where 130 years of value takes you. For more information, stop into TikTok Tire, 2102 3rd Avenue, Huntington, right across from the stadium, or call 304-525-7831.
Plum Tickle Boutique and Rise and Grind Food Truck, located at 604 Bellefonte Road in Westwood, gives you a great shopping experience with unique items and delicious food all in one location. Stop by Plum Tickle Boutique and Rise and Grind Food Truck in Westwood.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Let's open up our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And I'm also giving the texter of the day for tickets to go see the Herd take on JMU. That's coming up tomorrow. We'll have the game here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. James Madison coming in, one of those top teams in the net. There's 56 right now. Kim Palm has them at 64. They're 24-3 overall. The Herd's 12-15. James Madison 11-3 in league play. One of the top teams. Marshall just trying to stay out of the bottom grouping. 7-7 right now. Still have enough to get it done. I'm just going to give up the ghost. I thought the Herd might have had enough juice to get to that 4 spot. I'm going to give the ghost up on that. I'm not counting them out just yet, but I'm not going to honestly say that it's going to happen. If it happens, I'll be happy, but they got to win 4 straight. A couple things are going to happen for that to win. I'll take 5, 6 right now. Just find a good spot in the tournament bracket and then go to work. From our text line, this is a little bit about Coach Caldwell. Texter says that Coach Caldwell subs 3 players in. Maybe not the best scores, but they play smother defense and rebound. Helps everyone to be aggressive from tip-off to the final whistle. It's obviously working. And really what the cool thing about what she does is her starting lineup is determined about how you did the last game, how you performed. You want to get into that starting lineup, you got to perform well in that previous game. It's not, okay, these are my favorite players. It's, okay, here's performance metrics. However they keep metrics, that's how they do it. Okay, here's my starting 5. Let's go, and then we're going to switch players in and out as I need them, but we're going to do hockey shifts is basically what she's doing. They're doing hockey shifts. And we'll see. They haven't faced off against Texas State yet, so they haven't seen Texas State. Texas State hasn't seen the Herd. Should be an interesting one tomorrow. Coach Caldwell, when we talked to her yesterday, she talked about how tough they are. It's going to be interesting defensively, I think. They've got a really impressive guard, Janiah Henson. She's a standout for them. Also, they've got a strong defense. Coach Kim talked about both yesterday when she was asked about it.
Yeah, she's one of the top players in the league. They're a very solid team. I mean, they're going to give us some problems with their defense. Their defense is really good. They're really good on-ball defenders. They can go in transition. They're not going to really have any issue running with us, and she's a big part of that because she's so good with the ball.
This should be a fun one. It should be a high-scoring game. Maybe a lot of turnovers, a lot of forced turnovers. I'm interested to see how this one plays out. And Texas State's a team, they don't shoot well, but they shoot the 3-point shot well. Coach Caldwell, not a fan.
Yeah, and for us, we don't really like that. So that's just going to be something. And they do a really good job of defending the 3 as well. They're the number 1 team in the league at 3-point% defense. So it'll be a much different game for us than we have seen. It's kind of nice to play someone new, but I think it's another tough matchup for us. That's
Coach Caldwell, Thundering Herd, taking on Texas State. That's going to be a challenge. The Marshall men, as I mentioned, taking on JMU. We're going to hear from Wyatt Fricks in just a moment. Texter says, Paul, Coach Dan has young players with a lot of potential, and they ride the pine, the bench. In this day and time, they can transfer when they get playing time, where they can get playing time. That's a big point. The transfer portal. We'll hear from Fricks in just a second, but that brings up a good point I wanted to get into today. So in an interview that ESPN had with NCAA President Charlie Baker, Baker said he's not in favor of rules or federal laws that are going to limit or place new limits on the way that college athletes transfer between schools. And so this is an interview on ESPN. He said that I've had conversations, this is Baker, I've had conversations with a bunch of coaches who didn't walk out on their contracts. Baker also said, one of the things I hear from kids when I talk to them about this issue is coaches walk out on their contracts. What about us? Baker did acknowledge that the rate of transfers in college sports reflects a larger trend indicating that students are transferring more than ever. And he said in the interview, quote, do they transfer more than they did 10 years ago? Yes. Do they transfer more than their peers who aren't student athletes? No. He went on to say they actually transfer less than students who aren't student athletes do, and kids just transfer more because they have more information, more data, and they're more impatient about a lot of things. And that goes to the texter's point. If I'm riding the pine, if I'm on the bench, I'm not getting my opportunities, I can transfer somewhere else where maybe I can get a little bit more playing time. So Baker's not down with any laws that are going to limit what we have now. I think there should be some regulation on the transfer portal, but he's coming from the angle that, look, these kids should have options. They should have the ability. They don't like their situation. They should have the ability to transfer out. Coaches are basically going to have to just deal with it. The impression I got. Now, there's some issues that he wants to see Congress and lawmakers help with. I'm sure name, image, and likeness and a few other items are going to be hung on the list. But at the same time, he doesn't like the thought of limiting students and their access to transfer. Also, really doesn't want to mess up the NCAA basketball tournament. That was a big takeaway from his interview with ESPN. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We got Wyatt Fricks. I got his comments about the upcoming game coming up tomorrow. We'll have it for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll get his comments and more of your text on this edition of The Drive.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union has been serving the Huntington community for 70 years and is proud to announce our newest location in Lavalette is now open. Wayne County residents, you now have access to a modern banking facility, a full range of services, advanced technology, expert financial advice, and even a smart coffee kiosk cafe. Learn more about Metro Community Federal Credit Union online at metrocommunityfcu.com or visit us today on 5th Street Road.
Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Giovanni's Pizza. Fresh, hot, and tasty. Have it delivered right to your door. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
In the tapestry of life, we encounter stories of legacy and accomplishment, but sometimes also abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation. Adult Protective Services understands the importance of safeguarding the well-being of our loved ones, our neighbors, and our community. To report neglect or abuse, call 800-352-6513. Sponsored by the Administration for Community Living, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources, Bureau for Social Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project was supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $383,493, with 75% funded by ACL, HHS, and 25% in the amount of $85,236 funded by state government sources. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
It's the President's Day sale, Monday the 19th through the 24th, and I vote for Scioto Shoe Mart. Large selection of women's and men's casual and dress shoes now $20. Assortment of men's and women's athletic shoes starting at $35 and up. Large assortment of kids' athletic shoes starting at $25 and up. Women's casual and dress boots now half price. Some exclusions apply. It's the President's Day sale, Monday the 19th through the 24th. Cast your vote in person at Scioto Shoe Mart, 615 Harding Avenue, Sciotaville.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. If you're a sports fan, we have what you want. From the biggest game in professional football, NBA, NCAA basketball, and the NHL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials we have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check us out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We carry on with today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've been following along with Marshall Track and Field. Sunbelt Championships are going on right now. Today we have a champion. Kylie Maston won the mile. So congratulations to her for winning that. And Abby Herring, she rocked it yesterday. She won the indoor 5K. She had a time of 16:06.64. Her time, a new Sunbelt Conference Championship meet record and a new school record, broke her own time by 15 seconds. She set that last week. So the indoor track and field championships continue. You're keeping an eye. There's been some good performances. Track and field's strong right now at Marshall University. There's been some successes. There have been some personal bests for a lot of performers. Abby Herring finished third in the 3K. So she gets some more hardware. She got a bronze. 9:32.60. So third in the 3K. And then if you want to try to go the distance with her, she'll smoke you in the 5K. It's amazing. She goes from the 5K to the 3K. She wins a medal in both. Just back-to-back days. That's crazy. Just the amazing ability of these student athletes to do this, or anyone in track and field. That's just crazy how they're performing. So some good stuff coming out. Yeah, swimming and diving had a good showing, and now track and field's having a good showing. Some good stuff happening. So hats off to everyone involved with those programs. Basketball coming up tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Marshall taking on James Madison. We go on the air 6 o'clock, ESPN and 93.7 The Dog. One of the players I hope we get to see a little bit more from, Wyatt Fricks. Had a chance to catch up with him. He had a good performance against Coastal Carolina. It wasn't enough. The Thundering Herd didn't get it done against Coastal, but Fricks had a good performance, and so we had a chance to talk to him a little bit yesterday. And some of the things he talked about, we heard earlier, one of those items was just the fact that how important it was for this team to really get these next two games. They matter. Those games matter. And he did feel good about his performance, and he liked some of the things that his team did. Obviously didn't like the fact that the win didn't happen, but he said he was happy with some of the things that they did, and there's some things that got to be cleaned up as well.
I feel like we did some good things. We obviously didn't do some good things. We would have came back with 2 wins if we did some better things. Got some things to clean up going into this week. I mean, App State, JMU, top 2 teams in the conference coming in. So but I feel like today we had a good practice, good energy, and I feel like it's a good way to start the week going into it.
And when I asked him, is this team close? Yeah, Dan's talking about it. Yeah, got to get ready for the tournament. Got to be ready for the tournament. Is this team close to being ready for the tournament?
I think we're really close. I mean, like I said, there's things we got to clean up on, but we're doing a lot of good things. I mean, and it comes down to making shots. I feel like we played pretty good against Coastal. It just came down. We had 20 more shots than them, and we all hit the same amount of shots. Obviously, they came out on top, but make shots, make smarter plays down the stretch, and be able to close out games.
So now you got to face off against a couple familiar foes. You've already seen App State. You saw them recent, and then you've seen James Madison. So close proximity to when these two teams last met. Marshall. Is it make it easier? Is it harder to see a team twice, especially with that App State game being so close?
I wouldn't say it's difficult. If anything, I think it plays in a little bit of advantage is the way I look at it. You know what they're going to run. You know they're not going to change much from when we played against them. So I definitely think just going into it, we'll have probably the same mindset and just got to complete things better than we did the first time around.
So if the Herd can clean it up, you hear that a lot. They can clean it up. They'll have a shot at this thing. That's coming up tomorrow. We got it for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Coming into the Henderson Center tomorrow, the men's basketball player of the week, James Madison's Terrence Edwards, earning his 3rd award this year as player of the week. He got it week 1, then he had it week 7. And don't forget, James Madison has some good players. Not only is Edwards Jr. a basketball player of the week now for the 3rd time, TJ Bickerstaff won it twice. Marshall only has one Player of the Week honor this year, and that was Nate Martin back on week 12. So James Madison brings some good players in too, and the defending, reigning Player of the Week in league play. Big 2-game stand coming up. Final home game stand for the Thundering Herd as well. And so we'll have tickets for the Saturday game. We'll give those away tomorrow and Thursday. But we're going to give you a chance here in the next couple of minutes. We'll pick our texter of the day. And if you don't win today and you want to go to the game on Saturday, be back here tomorrow. We'll do it all over again and have the number programmed in. Just be ready to go. Have your thoughts ready. Have your text of the day. It's going to be the winner. You have it ready. Get that number programmed into your phone. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And we have 4 tickets for Saturday times 2. So I've got 2 different opportunities for you to win those tickets on Saturday. And then I don't know what we're going to do for the next few weeks, but I think we've got some good stuff coming for you. It won't be basketball necessarily, but we got some stuff coming up. That's all I can say. That's all I'm allowed to say. I don't want to spill the beans here, but we got some stuff coming up. I'm excited. Obviously, we got a lot of activity happening the next few weeks around here. We got baseball starting back up. How about that? We got baseball in Huntington, finally. A proper baseball facility that's going to last, I hope, years to come. We got minor league baseball coming back with the Appy League, and that's going to be a big opportunity for Marshall and for the Huntington community to have really good baseball. And I'm not talking about the stuff that you see in other leagues. I'm talking about players that are on the way up, prospects and players that have the potential to move up. That's the exciting thing. Keep that in mind. There are leagues where players are coming down, and we've seen that in different attempts. How many times has someone tried to bring in some variation of a minor league sport that I don't want to call it rogue indie ball, like independent professional wrestling. I don't want to call it like that. But you have players that are coming from different places, and they're either never been or they're on their way down. Keep in mind, with the App League, you got prospects in this league. You got players that have the potential to be on the way up. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate you checking in with us every day. If you missed anything today or you want to go back, we've got it on our podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts is where you're going to find today's show. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Most likely, we'll be talking to you tomorrow from the Henderson Center. We got basketball, Marshall, James Madison. Looking forward to it. And we'll be giving you a chance to win tickets to Saturday's game, 6 o'clock tip. We've got it for you at 5 o'clock. I'll have a 4-pack tomorrow for the Marshall app game, and you'll be able to win those. Have a great night, everyone.
Retransmitting in Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.
Central Uniform and Scrubs